Today we are going to begin Intro to Ethics 240, and if you have taken a philosophy course before, you are aware of the density of the material. This means that you must come prepared to read and immerse yourself in the literature, or you most certainly will fail. There are some very difficult things that you must be able to handle on your own, because this is an online course. And this would be that you need to read the material, analyze the arguments, and you must be able to apply theories to present-day examples without a contradiction. And we'll talk about that as we move along in the class. If you are very skilled at skimming and scanning, I would suggest that you leave this skill for another class. It's not going to help you here. If you are a slow reader and you need a lot of time to absorb the material and you make notes in your margin, then this is certainly the class for you. This is the correct skill. You must be able to understand what you are reading, and speed reading will not get it done. If you send me an email and tell me, I just didn't understand what was going on, I know for sure that you didn't read the whole thing, or that you didn't read it over again. And you must read it over again. Okay. You're going to need that, especially for exam questions and for the weekly questions that I give you. There are a couple of housekeeping items that need to be taken care of at the beginning, and because they are important, I will give you a few easy points to complete them. You will need to go to the Assignments tab, and from there go to the folder marked Getting Started and Paperwork. There are two things that I need your explicit agreement on. The first is the FERPA, and this is a statement saying that I cannot discuss your grades with anyone. This means that I need you to state that you understand this, and then if an aunt, uncle, brother, mother, or sister wants any information regarding your work, I will not under any circumstances discuss this with them. This brings up another issue. Some students want me to let them know what they got on a paper or a test and to discuss how well they did on something. I will not do that unless you, again, include in there that you agree to have me discuss those things with you via email. Has nothing to do with Blackboard. It has everything to do with just emailing one another. So you need to say you have read and agree to FERPA, and that you would like me to discuss your grades with you via email, and state that you give me your permission to send grades electronically, and that you need to read the academic integrity policy. Again, it's in the syllabus, but I have put it in the folder for you. So let me know that you've read these and that you agree to not cheat and not plagiarize, and hopefully that'll clear up the confusion. Do not send me an email. What I need you to do, there's a link inside that folder that you can submit it to me. So you'll open up the link, it'll have some comments or where you can just type in a couple sentences. That's all I need. Okay? Put your name, your ID number, and your agreement to the things, okay? Don't leave them out. I'll only give you a few points, or I'll give you a 0 if you did it incorrectly, so you can go back in and make sure that you do it right, because it's worth 10 points, and trust me, these will be the easiest 10 points of the semester. Okay, so the next thing you need to do is open up your assignments, go to your first module. It's entitled Module 1, Week 1, so you can't go wrong. Start with Plato, of course, because all philosophy starts with Plato. I will try to have the second week's work ready by midweek, but I am not certain that it will be completely possible with the first week being quite busy. For sure, it will be up Monday. The following week, do the reading, and then if you do not understand what you are reading, take a look at the videos as well as the supplemental material, and that should provide additional insight. The assignment for the week is a list of questions that come from your reading. Do those questions while you're reading, but in your answers, if it's merely copied or it's a summary, I'm not interested in that, and your grade will reflect in a very negative way that you have copied or just given me a summary. What I'm looking for is original, logical, and depth of insight kind of answers. I want to know your thoughts. So let's move on to maneuvering through the course. The first thing I would like you to do is complete the paperwork for the course, and this can be found in the Getting Started and Paperwork. The link to submit is there as well, and the directions are found above, I already mentioned, and in the folder. Also, I would like you to complete a discussion board, which will give you a chance to learn a little bit about each other, and to consider something about relativism, and I'm going to mention that and change things around. I would like you to state whether you think the treatment in this particular case with the Dalits is acceptable, and if it is, by what standard? And if it is unacceptable, again, by what standard? Do not go for the easy answer, which is, it's not my country, I can't say. Guys, guess what? You can, and people do, and they say things about our country. And probably in some cases they're right, but we need to know what the standard is, okay? and I want you to think about your position. What makes it a good or bad position? And I want you to learn how to support your position. So this immediately means that you're going to have to shake off the summer mood and get cracking. Discussion board and link can be found in that same folder, so open that up and get started. Important note, I know that 16 weeks is too short for me to rid you of the notion that everything is relative, but I will give it my best effort, and I will use philosophical arguments to do so. Since modernity, and I'd love to say that word because it's fun, we have clung to the notion that relativism is indeed a fact, that there are no absolutes and binding standards. However, by stating that, I am declaring an absolute standard, so it's kind of a moot point. But by its very definition, according to its definition, relativism would not be possible. And G.K. Chesterton makes the case in the following quote. Instead of morality, he uses the word conscience, which of course is alluding to the same thing. So the first argument is that man has no conscience, because men are quite mad and therefore not particularly conscientious. The second argument is that man has no conscience because men are more conscientious than others. And then the third is that man has no conscience because men in different countries and quite different circumstances often do very different things. I really cannot see why I should not apply them to the questions of human noses. Man has no nose because now and then a man has no nose. Man has no nose because some noses are longer than others or can smell better than others. Or man has no nose because not only are noses of different shapes, but some of their noses find the smell of incense nice, while some of their noses find it nasty. And this comes from his collected works. But you can read through the script to read that again if you didn't get it right away. But he's making the case that we make up all these arguments about relativism or having a conscience and say we don't have it because it's different. But you'll find that that's not a very convincing argument. Certainly, while people do vary in the way they perceive and value morality, we all seem to appeal to some standard in some way to be toward one another. We will look at relativism as we move through the semester, but know that arguments including relativism from you will not be accepted in the papers. I will do my best to consider the idea of I will do my best to get you to consider the idea of rules or a universal principle. These are in no way enforceable, and nor is morality something that we can legislate or expect that other people will do it. But just stating that there is some standard does not mean that we're going to enforce it. But let's talk about those that actually benefit mankind. Please remember that while this is an online course, I still consider it my job to be available and to teach you. So please feel free to let me know if you are struggling or if you need to discuss anything further. The best way to get in touch with me is Google Voice, and that number is 919-285-1645. Leave me a message with your name, your class section, phone number, and a specific problem, and I will get back to you within 48 hours, usually quicker. But please give me at least that much time. There's a lot of you. And the reason I ask you to do the Google Voice is that you can state your issue in much less time than you can type it, and then I can just call you back, speak to you either in person very quickly or just leave a message for you, and that just makes it easier for all of us. So that being said, enjoy the semester.